have head coach Jeff Jackson, and to my immediate left, we will have Anders Bjork, Jake Evans, and Cal Petersen. As we have earlier today, once we're situated, we'll have Coach Jackson deliver an opening statement. Then we'll have questions of our student athletes. We have Morgan and Austin with the mics. Just make sure to say your first and last name once you have the mic. And for those that need anyone else, Notre Dame's locker room is open till 4:30. So without further ado, Coach, any thoughts on the weekend so far?
We're thrilled to be here. Obviously, being in Chicago, it's even extra special for us. Chicago's like our big sister city from South Bend and Notre Dame. We have a lot of Chicago natives and a lot of alums and a lot of friends in this area, so including the Blackhawks and Stan Bowman. So for us, it's extra special to be in the Windy City.
Thanks, Coach. Open up to the student athletes here. Dave, right here.
Anders, you guys had to be the comeback kids in the regionals in both of your games. Can you just talk about and earlier in the season you've had wins where you've come back from 2-goal deficits. Can you talk about your team's ability to come back, but also maybe the importance of not falling behind in this one?
Yeah, we've been fortunate enough to come back from a few big games, especially last weekend. I think our team, stays calm and poised, and we play desperate when we need to, and which has really helped us in the past. But I think we kind of want to avoid that and get off to a good start this weekend and get off to a good start tomorrow, especially in the first period, going hard and setting the tone.
Thanks, Anders. Any other questions out there? Jake or Cal, or Jack, you got one right here?
This is for Anders, and I hate to jump the gun, but a lot of folks back in Boston, watching the Bruins sign a lot of their draft picks. Does that ratchet up the decision for you? I know you're trying to focus on this weekend.
Yeah, no, not really. Haven't really been thinking about that. Just kind of focus on Notre Dame and this team and doing the best that we can, and hoping to have continued success. So, I haven't really thought much about that, sorry.
For each of the players, what was your thought and feeling about skating on the ice out there with the banners, and how does it compare this facility to other maybe NHL venues that you've skated at?
Cal, why don't you jump in there first if you could?
It's obviously, incredible playing at the United Center. I think a lot of us have watched Blackhawks game here, even come to a couple games. And, obviously you're kind of in awe at first at kind of, the magnitude of it. But I think, we got settled in fast. And, this being the second kind of NHL building we've been in from Boston Garden to here, I think we're a little bit more customary to handling that. And but it's obviously very cool to have it in a venue like this, and makes it really special.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like Kyle kind of said, we already been in one, and it's every time you play on an NHL ring, it's pretty cool. It's what we all dream of playing in the future, and I think the cool thing here is the recent success they've had the past few years, and some of the top players in the world that are playing here, and it's cool skating on the ice that they've been on. But I think when the game starts tomorrow, you kind of forget all that stuff and you just play hockey, really.
Anything on that, Anders?
Yeah, just along the same lines, I think, as Jake mentioned, it's pretty cool, We walk through the Blackhawks locker room, like seeing Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews and some other, young stars too, just seeing, their stuff and realizing we're playing on the same ice as them is pretty cool and kind of adds to the excitement of the weekend.
This is for Jake. Jake, you'll be taking a lot of face-offs in critical situations. Have you watched their team on tape, and is there anything that they do that you're going to try to take advantage of, or anything that you go in with a preset plan?
We haven't really watched tape yet. We'll start watching it soon. We know they've got some good guys on the draw, but we're mainly going to focus on what we can do better and how we can improve from our last game. So that'll be the biggest thing. I think in games like this, every face-off's crucial. One bad draw loss and one lost man could end up in a goal, and that could be your year. So intensity is going to be a big thing on these face-offs, and it's not just me. It's the whole unit that's on the ice. When everyone's got to know what their job is on there, and these draws will be big, and it's going to be pretty intense every draw.
Cal, can you kind of talk about your personal preparation for facing Denver's, dynamic, relentless offense?
Yeah, we obviously know that, they're a great team. They've earned the respect of having that, but, that we know we have a good offense, but, I'm very confident in the guys that, I have in front of me, and, understand there's going to be pressure, but, I think as long as we can manage that and, understand where, their attacks come from, I think we'll be, real set. But, I think, like I said, confident with the guys that we have in front, and obviously they're a very good team. But, we'll be looking for a little pushback too.
Mike?
For any of the players, back a couple of weeks ago at the regional, I think Coach mentioned that the second period against Minnesota, you guys finally started to get back to your game a little bit, and that was a team that he had remembered seeing over, I think it was the last 8 weeks. When you describe your game, I mean, what are sort of some of the key elements that you look at as being your game?
Jake, why don't you jump in there first?
Like Coach said, we've been caught in the moment sometimes, and starting that second period, I think we had one big shift by some of our bigger guys, Bo Brower and Joe Wegworth, and they really set the tone, and then we started using our legs, and I think the biggest thing for our team is using our speed and working the team down low, I think that one shift by Joe and Bo mainly having kind of like an offensive grind time shift really helped us out, and then we started getting our legs back in, and then we got back to our game, and that was I think probably the biggest shift of our year so far.
There's another Jocko, you got one here.
Jocko Connolly, Boston Herald. This is for Jake and Cal. Obviously, Anders has had a pretty exceptional season. He's only the second player in history to be named a Hobey Baker finalist in Hockey Humanitarian. Can you just talk a little bit about what he brings to the table for you guys, both on and off the ice?
Jake and I are roommates with him, so we see, a lot of sides of him, which is a good thing. But he obviously earns, all the accolades that he's generated this year and the good publicity. And, as hard as he works on the ice to improve his game, he works just as hard off the ice to help our image in the community. And the work that he's done, off the ice with the school is great, and it's awesome that has been noticed. Because I think without that, just the kind of guy that he is, people never would have known about that. But he's obviously worked extremely hard to get to the point that he's at right now, and we're very fortunate to have him on our team.
Anything, Jake?
Yeah, I think to add to that, he's a pretty energetic and fun kid, and I think the biggest thing is he's humble. He doesn't brag about anything that he's getting, or he doesn't try and drag any extra attention to him. He's focused on the team and what's best for us, and I think that's the best thing about him right now.
Great, guys. If there's no further questions, I'll let you head back. Thanks for your time. Open up the questions to Coach Jackson. Let's keep in mind to state your first name, last name, and affiliation. Thank you.
Jeff, Bob Snow, BruinsDaily.com. Your coaching career has been a long and somewhat a contrasting one in a way. You had those powerhouses at Lake State that maybe were expected to be here. Now you have teams that you're trying to get here, and you've gotten here. What's been the key for you in the coaching and, if you will, strategy and to get this program evolving and hopefully to where Lake State was, if you will, on the national stage?
Well, things have changed a lot since the Lake State days in college hockey. I think that when I started at Notre Dame, I honestly believed that, it was a real diamond in the rough. It was a program that had so much potential, obviously, with the name recognition and the tradition and the great education that you get at Notre Dame. I figured it would be a great place to recruit. And we've had success. We still, you want to win national championships. You want to win championships. I think that for us, we've been close, and I've said that before. Like the times that we've won at Lake State, it seems everything falls into place for you. It's a number of different things. There's a lot of things that are out of your control, but there's some things that are in your control, and if you manage those things that are within your control, then you can win. And the things outside your control, have cost us at times. I mean, we've been in the Frozen Four a few times at Notre Dame, and I think that I think back to our first trip when we went to Denver. We were playing without our captain, our best player, Eric Condra, and that team did a great job getting there, and they were a 4 seed as well. So we knocked off Michigan in the semifinal, who was #1 overall, and that was quite a feather in that team's hat. But we had a tough time the next night against Boston, or next day against Boston College. And the last time we played, we ran into a good Duluth team. It was the last time we played Manchester too. But the thing is that you got to put yourself in position to win championships, whether it's finishing in the top 4 of your conference to get a bye and then home ice. You got to make the NCAA tournament. You have to put yourself in position to win the tournament, to win a championship. And that's what our goal is at Notre Dame every year, is to put ourselves in position to win a championship, whether it's a conference championship or a national championship, is to put ourselves in that position. And then all those things have to fall into place. And as coaches, we try to make sure the things that are within our control, that we manage those things. And the things that are outside of our control, there's nothing we can do about. So we just, every year it's different, but this year's team is certainly different than the first 2 that made it to the Frozen Four.
Dave here in front.
Dave Hendrickson, U.S. College Hockey Online. Can you talk about your connection with Jimmy Montgomery? First, he was maybe the guy who kept you from winning three championships in a row at Lake State, and then he learns from you, and now he's gone from student to being the guy you've got to knock off.
I mean, that's one of the great, things about coaching, is that, you're not only watching your former players go on to play in the National Hockey League and maybe be All-Stars or Hall of Famers, but you're also watching the guys that, that went on to be doctors and, presidents of companies and their families. But there's also that third aspect, and, people that work for you as assistant coaches, people that that help you and hopefully you help them. And with Jimmy, going way back to 1993, I was just teasing the other guys talking about, it wasn't Jim Montgomery, it was Paul Correa, but Jimmy just so happened to be the other end of the passes. We get along great. He's a great young coach. He's got a great future ahead of him. He's got all the right aspects to being a great coach. And I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. Tomorrow we'll go head to head, and whatever happens. I remember a lot of great games between Sean Walsh and Ron Mason too. Those things happen. It's part of coaching. You develop coaches and you end up competing against them. Yesterday I recruited a kid whose son played for, or his dad played for me. So that tells you, you're going full circle. So, but that's the great thing about coaching. It's the relationships that you establish, and it's been my life. And to see him be successful is a great part of that.
David Hoff, the Chicago Tribune. Coach, you come to Chicago with a lot of Notre Dame presence in the city, and just for people who aren't maybe as familiar with your program, Notre Dame hockey, but maybe Notre Dame football fans or basketball fans, how would you sell your program to those people? And how much do you take advantage of how popular youth hockey is in the Chicago area and produces, talent that you obviously recruit?
Well, I mean, we recognized early on when I first started at Notre Dame, I mean, our lifeblood was going to be through Chicago and recruiting. And the fact that it never fails that when a NHL franchise all of a sudden takes off like the Blackhawks have, youth hockey usually right on the coattails. So, I mean, youth hockey in Chicago is growing. We've had a lot of great players, a lot of great kids from the Chicago area. And we have a great relationship with the Blackhawks. I mean, the fact that they come to our building for training camp almost every year over the last several years, our relationship with the GM, who's a Notre Dame alumnus, Vinny Hinestroza being here, Stephen Johns was here for a while. I mean, Barry Smith is a very good friend of mine, and we have another alum that works for the Blackhawks, Mark Eaton. So there's strong ties with the city, strong ties with the Blackhawks, and I think that it is a good chance for, I I get the fact that when Chicago thinks Notre Dame, they think football, but we like to believe that it's not football season right now, so we'll worry about playing hockey right now.
Aaron Matus from 9 News in Denver. Talking to Jim last week, he told a great story about how he used to have to work kind of physical labor in the mornings and then come out to practice, and he'd show up covered in paint and dirt, and you'd kind of laugh at him and say, boy, you really want to be a coach. Just wondering if you remember those stories at all, and just how you remember maybe his determination to pursue this line of work.
Well, it's hard to break into college hockey now because they eliminated graduate assistantships and a lot of great young coaches, young guys that want to be coaches. There's really no easy avenue for them to get into the business. And it's unfortunate, but we've tried to take pride in the fact that, we actively try to go out and find good young people that we think may have some potential to be coaches. And bring them in as volunteers. But it's not easy. They have to have the means to do it because we have to follow NCAA rules, and we can't pay them. We can't do anything to help them get paid. But Jimmy, in that situation, he went out and found himself a part-time job, and he had to do some. I think he was working at the steel company, if I'm not mistaken. But he needed. Even though he played in the National Hockey League, he had the means to do it. He still, he had enough motivation to make a few extra bucks to put in his pocket and, come to the rink every day and do a great job for us. It's never easy when the ground level of coaching. In my first coaching job in college hockey, I got paid $12,000 a year. And it's and I'd work 16 weeks in the summer hockey schools to make money, and that gets monotonous over time. But the good thing for that, when you do that kind of stuff, is you're creating network of contacts, and that's what I did when I was first starting in coaching. And I think that's where you build up relationships and help yourself become a better coach. And Jimmy certainly paid his dues in the early years to make himself a good coach.
Any other questions for Coach? The one in front here. We'll take one last one after there is one. Thank you.
Melissa Pirelli, U.S. College Hockey Online. You've been to the Frozen Four, before. It's a new team this year. Do you take something away after each time you come as a coach that maybe you change to tell your players in preparation the next time you go? Anything, any new advice you give, any new, physical things on the ice?
There's a number of things you have to be prepared for. The biggest thing is about like what our team went through a few weeks ago in Boston, is that it's about the moment. It's everything gets elevated, and you have to make sure that your players understand that, okay, this is a hockey game, and nobody, hockey's hockey. So no matter where we're playing, it's the same thing. The first thing I think about is that scene out of the movie Hoosiers, where the coach goes out and he measures the court and measures the height of the basket. It's the same size rink. It's ice. It's an ice rink. But when you put everything else around, it's all about the distractions, and controlling those distractions is probably the biggest thing. You got all these different things going on. Like today, they've been doing stuff all day long. So have I. From early in the morning, you've got thing after thing after thing that you're not accustomed to. It's different than what you're accustomed to. So you just got to make sure that you don't allow everything that's going around away from the hockey game affect the hockey game. And to me, it is about that focus, and it's an overused word, focus, but it is about, just staying in the moment of what you're doing. I want these guys, hey, we want to win. We're not coming here, we're not happy just to be here. We want to win we want to win a national championship. But the thing is I also want them to enjoy the ride, and enjoy the experience, enjoy practice today. I told them before we went on the ice, the first time we went to the Frozen Four, our guys couldn't make a pass. And it was because their heads were up here somewhere. And I said, that's our goal today, is let's just make sure we go out there and have a good practice. So it's about the moment, and it's about not being distracted by all the outside factors away from the game.
Mike, we'll take the last one here, Coach.
Excuse me, Mike McMahon, College Hockey News. Coach, sort of along the same lines that I was asking the players, you talked, I think after that Minnesota game, that second period, something sort of clicked, coming out of the game against Lowell in the hockey semifinals too. Was there a concern did you have a concern that maybe you guys wouldn't get that focus back, or did you see something in the way you were playing that you knew was just a matter of time?
I don't think going into that game my concern was their focus. My concern in that going into that game was their confidence. Lowell, they took it to us pretty good in Boston Garden. It's like it wasn't the same team. It's actually the first time. I mean, I mentioned earlier is that the first time I've really gotten on them in a negative way was that Sunday morning of the selection show, because that's the first time I really addressed them after the game that we played at Boston Garden. And I was upset with them because they were all mesmerized by the moment. I mean, we also played a very good team. But the thing is that we were, it wasn't the same team I'd been seeing for 8 weeks. So, after that game, my biggest concern was, okay, did that knock all our confidence out of us? And it showed. We were on our heels in the first period against Minnesota, but as Cal mentioned, or Jake, I mean, we had the 2-goal. Well, first of all, Minnesota had to deal with a 2-goal lead, which is the worst lead in hockey. And then the second thing is we had a great shift before Cal made that headman pass up to Ogilvy for the goal. So that changed everything. All of a sudden, boom, all right, we're all right, And I don't think anybody went into a panic mode, even though we weren't playing great. The coaches, when we're not playing well, I'm not going to be harping on them in a negative way. I'm trying to build them up. I was trying to work on their confidence. Every TV timeout, I tried to have a little bit of a theme, and it was about, all right, something to build their confidence. I asked Andy, I said, pick one thing for me before every TV timeout, and about 1 or 2 guys that are doing things, and even asking them, what are you seeing out there? What are you feeling out there? Trying to engage them, and they responded, after that goal, and all of a sudden we started to see the team that I had been seeing for the last 8 weeks.
Thanks for your time, Coach. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.